I still remember the exact moment someone told me my husband was cheating. It was a Thursday afternoon, and I was buried in paperwork, trying to pull together a pitch deck for the meeting I had the next morning. I had 3 cups of coffee lined up on my desk, my laptop running hot from all the slides I'd been flipping through. That's when Sarah, my best friend since college, leaned against the doorway of my office. She had this look on her face like she didn't know whether to slap me or hug me. "Emily," she said carefully, "I think you need to sit down for this." I didn't even look up. My fingers kept flying across the keyboard. "Sarah, I'm already sitting. Just spit it out." She hesitated, and I knew whatever was coming wasn't good. "Daniel's cheating on you." I paused for half a second. My fingers froze above the keys. Then I said, almost casually, "Oh, that was it. Just one little word." I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything across the room. I didn't even bother to look up. I just went right back to my deck. Sarah stormed into the office and slapped her hand down on my desk, right over my notes. "Emily, are you out of your damn mind? Did you hear what I just said? Daniel is cheating on you." "Yeah, I heard you," I said calmly, finally glancing up at her. "It's just a man, Sarah. Men are everywhere. One doesn't work out. You replace him. That's all." Her jaw nearly hit the floor. "What the hell is wrong with you? Your husband is out there screwing around with God knows who, and you're sitting here putting together charts." I sighed and leaned back in my chair. "Sarah, the client I'm meeting tomorrow is worth millions. Do you know what that means? If I close this deal, it could set me up for the next 5 years. Do you really think I'm about to throw that away to go play private investigator?" She shook her head, half in shock, half in frustration. "Emily Carter, you are something else. Most women would have been halfway to the guy's office with a baseball bat by now. I don't even know what you are." I gave her a small smile, though inside my stomach felt like it was lined with ice. The truth was, I'd known for a while. Daniel had been restless for months, maybe even years. He told me more than once that I was boring, too focused on work, too obsessed with closing deals and chasing success. He said he felt invisible, like I barely noticed him, and maybe he was right. When we were dating, I used to answer client emails during dinner. On vacations, I'd sneak into hotel bathrooms to join video calls. I even remember on our wedding day, while the makeup artist was pinning my hair, I was on the phone with a supplier, trying to finalize numbers. Daniel laughed about it at the time, but not in a way that was really funny. He used to say, "Sometimes I think I married a machine, not a woman." And now, 3 years into our marriage, he'd apparently decided he'd had enough. Sarah must have read the flicker of pain that crossed my face because her tone softened. "Emily, don't tell me you didn't see this coming." "I did," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "I just didn't care enough to look into it." She blinked. "What do you mean you didn't care?" "Because if he wanted someone else," I said, shrugging, "then maybe that's what he should have." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "You cannot be serious right now." But before I could say more, she pulled out her phone. "Fine. You want proof? Here." She shoved her screen in my face. There was a photo, clear as day, of Daniel walking through Disney World with a young woman clinging to his arm. They were smiling, holding hands, looking every bit like a couple in love. And then God, my chest still burned when I saw it. Another photo. Daniel, down on one knee, holding a ring box open while the girl in the pink princess dress giggled and covered her mouth in fake surprise. My throat went dry. He had begged me to go to Disney with him for years. He wanted me to wear a princess gown, to let him play the part of my prince. He said it would be romantic, magical. Every time, I told him I was too busy. And now he had gone with her instead. Sarah watched me closely, waiting for me to break down. But instead, I laughed. It wasn't loud or bitter, just this quiet, tired laugh that startled even me. "Well," I said, leaning back in my chair, "I guess I finally paid him back for all the times I said no." Sarah stared at me like I had to heads. "Emily, what the hell is wrong with you? Your husband just proposed to another woman in Disney World, and you're sitting here cracking jokes?" "It's fine," I said, still staring at the photo. "But you know what really bothers me?" "What?" "That ring," I muttered. "It looks familiar, because I'm pretty sure it's the one I bought with my own damn money. $500,000, Sarah, and he just hands it over like it's a party favor." Her mouth fell open. "You are insane. You're literally worried about the ring right now." "Yep," I said simply, pulling my laptop closer again. "Men come and go. Money though, money sticks." Sarah groaned and stormed out, muttering something about me being the coldest woman alive. But the second she left, I closed the laptop and sat there in silence. My hands were trembling, and no matter how many times I blinked, the images on Sarah's phone wouldn't leave my mind. Daniel's smile, her smug little expression, that ridiculous pink dress. I clenched my fists, forcing myself to breathe. It hurt, God. It hurt like hell, but if Daniel thought he could break me, he had another thing coming. 3 days later, I was sitting in a Starbucks downtown when a girl walked in. She spotted me immediately, strutted over in her designer heels, and plopped into the chair across from me without so much as a hello. "Emily Carter," she said, her tone dripping with arrogance. "I'm Chloe. I'm sure you know who I am." I looked her up and down. She was younger, maybe mid-20s, with perfectly curled blonde hair and too much perfume. Her lips curled into a smirk as she pulled out her phone and shoved a series of photos across the table. "Daniel's with me now," she said proudly. "We've been together for 6 months. We've gone on 90-something dates, spent more nights in hotels than I can count, and oh, did I mention we've been in your house too?" I stayed quiet, sipping my coffee. She leaned closer, clearly annoyed that I wasn't reacting the way she expected. "He told me he doesn't love you anymore. So why don't you do us both a favor and sign the divorce papers? Let him go." I finally smiled, though it wasn't warm, "Sweetheart," I said softly. "You've got a lot to learn." I leaned back in my chair and gave Chloe the kind of smile that always drove junior associates crazy, the one that said, "You're not even in the same league, honey." I asked, stirring my coffee. "Love doesn't pay rent. It doesn't close deals. It sure as hell doesn't keep the lights on." She blinked, caught off guard. "What the hell does that even mean?" "It means," I said calmly, "if you came here to convince me Daniel loves you more than he loves me, you're wasting your time. I don't care who he sleeps with, but if you want my name, my company shares, my money, that's another story." Chloe's eyes narrowed. "You're bluffing. Women like you always pretend not to care, but deep down, you're terrified. You know once you lose him, you've got nothing." I laughed outright at that one nothing. "Sweetheart, I'm the reason Daniel gets to sit in that corner office every day. I'm the reason the company didn't tank 2 years ago when the market crashed without me. Daniel is just another overpaid executive playing golf while the real work gets done." She stiffened, her bravado cracking for just a second. I leaned in closer. "So let me make you an offer. You manage to get Daniel to sign those divorce papers, you can have him. And I'll throw in $1 million as a bonus, cash, no strings attached." Her mouth dropped open. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," I said, sliding a check across the table. "Try me." Her fingers trembled as she picked it up, her greedy little eyes sparkling. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her, almost. By that evening, Chloe had marched straight into Daniel's apartment, divorce papers in hand. "Danny," she cooed, curling up against him, "don't you want to be free? Just sign it. Then you'll be with me, we'll get married, have kids, live the life you always wanted." I wasn't there to see it, but later I heard from someone who was. Daniel's face went dark. "You went to Emily?" he asked, his voice like ice. Chloe giggled nervously. "She said she doesn't love you anymore. She's ready to let you go, Danny. All you have to do is sign." Before she could finish, Daniel snatched the papers out of her hands and ripped them to shreds. "Are you out of your mind?" he barked. "You think you can walk into my wife's life, throw around ultimatums, and expect me to just play along? You're nothing, Chloe. Do you hear me? Nothing." Chloe stared at him, stunned. "But, you said you loved me." Daniel's laugh was bitter, sharp enough to cut glass. "Don't flatter yourself. Even if I divorced Emily, it would never be for you." He grabbed his jacket and stormed out, leaving Chloe sobbing on the couch. That night, I was home in bed, finally catching up on sleep, when the bedroom lights suddenly blazed on. I winced, covering my eyes. "Emily?" Daniel's voice growled. He smelled like whiskey, his tie undone, eyes bloodshot. I sat up slowly. "What the hell are you doing?" He marched over, yanking me against him with a grip that hurt. His mouth crashed against mine in a kiss that wasn't tender, it was punishment. His teeth cut into my lip, the taste of blood mixing with alcohol. "Was it you?" he snarled. "Did you tell Chloe you didn't love me? That you wanted her to push me into divorce?" I shoved him back hard. "Are you insane? You're the one sleeping with her. Don't turn this on me." His laugh was bitter. "So what, Emily? You think you can just hand me off to some girl like I'm an old car you don't want anymore?" I glared at him, my voice steady. "If you want to leave, Daniel, then leave. But don't you dare act like I'm the one who broke us. You did that all on your own." For a moment, something flickered in his eyes, hurt, anger, maybe both. He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. Do you even care? He whispered, if I packed up tomorrow and never came back, would you even notice? Or would you just bury yourself in spreadsheets until you forgot my name? I swallowed hard, forcing myself not to look away honestly. No, I wouldn't. The words landed like a slap. He froze, his mouth half open, then gave a hollow laugh. You're unbelievable, he muttered, grabbing his keys. He left without another word, the door slamming so hard the walls shook. I sat there in the silence, my lips still bleeding, my chest heaving, and for the first time in a long while, I let myself wonder if maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as unshakable as I pretended to be. The next morning, his side of the bed was still empty. No note, no call, nothing. And yet, no divorce papers either. The house stayed quiet for days after that night. Daniel didn't come home, no texts, no calls, not even one of those half-assed excuses he used to send when he was working late. And me, I didn't chase him. I got up every morning, put on my heels, fixed my hair, and went to work like nothing had happened. If people noticed the shadows under my eyes, they were polite enough not to mention it, except Sarah, of course. She cornered me in the office kitchen one morning, arms crossed, her voice low. So you two aren't even speaking now? Emily, this isn't a marriage, this is hell. I don't know what this is. I took a sip of my coffee and forced a smile. It's survival, and right now, that's all I care about. But the truth, it felt like Daniel and I were ghosts haunting the same city. He stayed out, I stayed in, and in between, there was just silence. A week later, the silence broke, but not in the way I expected. Emily, my assistant, said nervously as she peeked into my office. Daniel just brought someone new on board. I frowned. New hire? Since when does he handle that personally? She bit her lip. That's the thing, he skipped HR completely. Walked her in himself, and well, he's paying her $5,000 a month. As an intern, I shot out of my chair. $5,000? For an intern? Who the hell? And then I already knew. Sure enough, when I went to the break room later that day, there she was, Chloe, perched on the counter in a short skirt, twirling her hair, sipping a latte like she owned the place. When she saw me, her smirk widened. Emily, didn't expect to see you here so soon. I clenched my jaw. What the hell are you doing in my company? She giggled, swinging her legs. Correction, Daniel's company. He wanted me here. Said it was time I learned the ropes, you know? Future Mrs. Foster and all that. Her phone buzzed, and she shoved it in my face. A voice recording played Daniel's voice, unmistakable. Emily has no femininity. She's cold, mechanical, nothing like you. You're fun, you're exciting, you're everything she's not. Then, faint laughter, hers and his, tangled together. I stared at her, my hands shaking even though I forced my face into stone. She leaned closer, her perfume sickly sweet. You should really start packing your office, because once Daniel makes it official, I'll be running things, and trust me, sweetheart, there's no room for both of us. I didn't respond. I just brushed past her, straightened my blazer, and walked back to my desk, but inside, I was boiling. 2 nights later, news broke that Daniel had shown up at a charity gala with Chloe on his arm. Cameras flashed, reporters gushed, headlines screamed about how perfect they looked together. I watched the video on my phone, my chest tight. Daniel had never once agreed to attend those events when I asked. He always said jewelry brands and charity balls were a waste of time. And yet, there he was, smiling for the cameras, standing tall like he hadn't a care in the world, all because she wanted him to. The fallout came fast. At the next industry event, I tried to corner a client's wife, someone I'd been nurturing a connection with for months. Before I could even get my pitch out, she threw a glass of wine on my dress. Women like you disgust me, she snapped, shoving a photo in my hand. It was Chloe wrapped around her husband at a bar, using your interns to seduce clients. Pathetic. You'll never get a contract with us ever. By the time she stormed off, my dress was soaked, my hands shaking. I bent down to grab my purse, nearly tripping on the hem, when someone caught me by the arm. You all right? A low voice asked. I looked up into a pair of calm, steady eyes. Michael Reed, one of the biggest clients I'd ever managed to bring in. A man with more connections than Daniel could dream of. I forced a smile. I'm fine, thank you. He didn't look convinced. Doesn't seem like it. My assistant has a spare outfit in the car. Why don't you change? No reason to let someone like that rattle you. I wanted to argue, but instead I nodded because honestly, if I didn't keep my head high, I was going to crumble right there in front of everyone. The hits kept coming. A few weeks later, I went out to a construction site to check on a project I'd been working on for months. When I arrived, I found Chloe already there, laughing with the organizers, clipboard in hand like she knew what she was doing. "What is this?" I demanded. The organizer looked nervous. Daniel said Chloe would be taking over. He said you were. Stepping back, my blood went cold. Since when? Since the day she started. Chloe sauntered over, her grin smug as ever. "Told you, Emily, you're yesterday's news. This is my project now." I wanted to scream, to claw her eyes out right there. Instead, I kept my chin up and said, "You'll never pull this off. You don't even know what the hell you're looking at." She leaned in, her voice low. "Maybe not, but I don't have to. Daniel will do it for me, and when he does, you'll be out for good." She turned on her heel and strutted away, leaving me shaking with fury. For the first time in my life, I felt powerless. I'd spent years building everything I had, every contract, every client, every piece of respect I'd scraped together in a world that never took women seriously. And now, this girl, this child, was tearing it all down, one smug smile at a time. And the worst part, Daniel was letting her. That night, I sat alone in my office long after everyone had gone home. The city lights glowed outside the window, casting shadows across the empty room. My hands hovered over my laptop, but I couldn't bring myself to type. I was tired, bone-deep tired. For the first time, I wondered if maybe Chloe was right. Maybe Daniel would get what he wanted. Maybe I'd lose everything. But then I clenched my fists, forcing myself to breathe. No, not yet. If Daniel wanted a war, fine, I'd give him one. A week later, the breaking point came. I was out at the West Side construction site, the project I'd practically lived and breathed for the last 2 months, when I spotted Chloe again. She was in heels, of course, tottering around the gravel like it was a runway, clipboard in hand. I clenched my jaw. "What the hell are you doing here again?" She smirked, managing my project. Before I could snap back, she leaned in close, her voice just loud enough for the nearby workers to hear. "You know, Emily, I wonder how Daniel would react if he thought you tried to hurt me. Maybe push me somewhere dangerous. He'd believe it, wouldn't he?" And then, before I could process what she was saying, she stumbled backward deliberately toward a running cement mixer. My heart jumped into my throat. "What the Chloe?" At that exact moment, Daniel came rushing up, grabbing her arm before she even got close to the machine. "Are you out of your mind?" he shouted, pulling her into his chest. Chloe burst into tears instantly, clinging to him like she'd just survived a car crash. "It was Emily," she cried. "She pushed me. I swear, if you hadn't grabbed me, I'd be dead right now." I froze. "That's a lie. I didn't even touch her." Daniel turned, his face dark with fury, his eyes bored into me, and for a second, I thought I saw something break inside him. "Emily," he said coldly, "I thought you were heartless. I thought you were cold. But this is beyond anything I imagined." The words hit harder than any slap. "You actually believe her?" I asked, my voice shaking. "I saw enough," he snapped. "You're so obsessed with winning that you'd risk someone's life just to hold on to a project. Good, I don't even recognize you anymore." I opened my mouth, but no words came out. For years, I'd given him everything, my loyalty, my time, my damn soul, and now here he was, holding that girl like she was something precious, looking at me like I was a monster. I felt my chest tighten. I couldn't breathe. "Daniel," I whispered finally, "you're pathetic." His jaw clenched. He didn't say another word, just turned and walked Chloe out like some wounded princess, leaving me standing there in the dust, humiliated and alone. That night, I sat in my office, staring at the stack of contracts on my desk. The words blurred together. Meaningless. For the first time since all this started, I let myself cry, not the quiet, controlled tears I'd trained myself to hide, but the ugly kind, the kind that came with shaking shoulders and gasps for air. I thought about all the years Daniel and I had spent together, the way we grew up side by side, the way everyone used to call us perfect for each other. South wind knows my heart, blows my dreams to the west. Our families used to joke when they paired our names together, and now, that same man looked at me like I was dirt under his shoe. I pressed my palms against my eyes, forcing the tears to stop. Enough. No more. If Daniel wanted Chloe, he could have her. If he wanted to hand her my projects, my seat at the table, my reputation, fine, but he wasn't going to take me. I whispered to the empty office, "If Daniel wants me gone, then I'll go, but not the way he thinks. I'll walk out on my own terms. And when I do, he'll realize just how much he lost." The next morning, I handed in my resignation. Daniel wasn't there when I dropped the envelope on his desk, but Chloe was. She picked it up with that smug little grin, like she'd just won the lottery. Good choice, she said sweetly. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I gave her one last look. Steady and unblinking. Enjoy it while it lasts, Chloe. You're standing on a throne built by me. And one day soon, it's all going to collapse under you. Her smile faltered for just a second, but I didn't wait to see more. I turned and walked out, my heels clicking against the marble floor like a drum beat. Every step felt like shedding dead weight. By the time I hit the sidewalk, I was lighter than I'd felt in years, and terrified. I had no safety net now, no cushy salary, no company perks, just me, my skills, and a hell of a lot of pride. But for the first time, I wasn't afraid of being alone. For the first time, I was free. Starting over at 35 isn't glamorous. People like to imagine it is that moment when a woman slams the door on a cheating husband and struts into her new life in heels, champagne glass in hand, already halfway to being a millionaire. Reality was me in sweatpants at 2 in the morning, hunched over a beat-up laptop at my kitchen table, trying to figure out how to build a website that didn't look like it was coded in 1998.no assistance. No cushy expense accounts. No corner office with skyline views, just me. A half-empty bottle of wine, and a stack of bills that seemed to multiply every time I blinked. Still, I'd never felt more alive. For the first time in years, every single decision was mine, every risk, every idea, every late night, mine. The first few months were brutal. I cold called people until my voice went hoarse. I pitched to rooms where no one even looked up from their phones. I went to bed so broke some nights that I had to choose between groceries or gas, but I kept going, because the alternative, going back to Daniel, begging for scraps while Chloe smirked over his shoulder, wasn't an option. I'd rather starve than crawl. Then came Michael. He called one afternoon out of the blue. I heard you left Foster Enterprises, he said, his tone curious but not judgmental. I did, I admitted. I'm starting something new. There was a pause, then a warm chuckle. Good. Daniel never deserved you anyway. Send me your deck. I blinked. My deck? Your pitch deck, he clarified. You've got one, right? Of course I did. Hell, I had 5. I emailed him the cleanest version, half expecting him to tear it apart. Instead, he called me the next day. Emily, this is solid. I'm in. First contract's yours. And I'll be sending a few more clients your way. I almost dropped the phone. You're serious? Dead serious, he said, echoing the same words I'd once used on Chloe. I believe in you. Don't waste time looking back. Build forward. For the first time in months, I felt the ground steady under my feet. With Michael's backing, things started to move. 1 client turned into 3. 3 turned into 10. Before I knew it, my little LLC had an actual office, tiny, cramped, but ours. I hired my first assistant, then a project manager, then a small team. 2 years in, we weren't just surviving, we were a name people recognized. Competitors who once brushed me off now watched nervously when I walked into a room. And me? I'd never looked sharper, stronger, more sure of who I was. Even Sarah admitted it. Emily Carter. Look at you, she said one night over drinks. You used to look like a zombie half the time. Dragging yourself through Daniel's mess now? Now you look like you run the damn city. I grinned, clinking my glass against hers. Maybe I do. Of course, I couldn't avoid Daniel forever. Our circles overlap too much. Industry galas, charity dinners, the kinds of places where people measured your worth by the cut of your dress and the weight of your watch. I saw him across the room one night, slumped at a bar while Chloe giggled with a group of her friends. He looked smaller somehow, like the shine had rubbed off. His suit was perfect, his tie straight, but his eyes, those eyes I'd once known so well, were dull. I turned away before he noticed me, but later, Sarah filled me in. You haven't heard? Chloe's been burning through his money like wildfire, designer bags, cars, trips, and she's been seen with other men, lots of them. I raised an eyebrow, and Daniel's fine with that. Fine? Sarah snorted. He's drowning. The company's bleeding. His investors are bailing. Word is, he's not the golden boy anymore. I didn't say anything, but inside, a strange mix of emotions stirred: anger, satisfaction, maybe even pity. I'd once thought Daniel and I would conquer the world together. Now, watching him unravel, all I felt was distance, like he was just another man in a room full of strangers. One night, leaving a gala with Michael, I spotted Daniel again. This time, He wasn't surrounded by admirers. He was alone, nursing a glass of whiskey, his tie undone, his eyes fixed on the floor, and then he looked up, straight at me, for a moment. Everything else faded: the chatter, the music, the clinking glasses. It was just him and me, staring across the space between us. His lips parted, like he wanted to say something, but before he could, Michael slipped an arm around my waist, guiding me toward the exit. "Come on," he murmured. "I promise you hot pot, remember?" I smiled up at him, letting him lead me away. When I glanced back, Daniel was still watching, his face crumpled just enough to show the truth. He knew. He knew it was too late. A few weeks after that gala, the news hit. Chloe had filed for divorce. I wasn't surprised, honestly. I'd been waiting for it. What did surprise me was how fast it all crumbled. She didn't just leave Daniel, she gutted him on the way out, sold company secrets to a competitor, liquidated assets behind his back, cleaned out joint accounts. By the time the papers were filed, he was left with a pile of lawsuits and a public scandal big enough to land him on the front page of every business blog in the city. Sarah sent me the article with a single text: "Karma wears heels." I laughed, really laughed. The kind of laugh that comes from deep in your chest. The kind you don't expect. The kind that feels like air after being underwater too long. And then, out of nowhere, Daniel called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Emily," he said, voice low. I don't even know where to start." I stayed silent. "I messed up," he continued. "Not just with the company. With you. With everything. I thought I was building an empire, but all I did was burn bridges." I waited. He exhaled. "I wanted to say I'm sorry. There was a time when those words would have meant everything." "Not anymore, Daniel," I said calmly. "You're not a bad person, but you were a coward, and you let someone else steer your ship straight into the rocks." He didn't argue. "I don't expect forgiveness," he said finally. I wanted you to know I see it now. I see you now." I nodded even though he couldn't see me. "Good. Because I stopped needing you to see me a long time ago." There was a long pause. "I'm glad you're doing well," he said softly. "I am," I replied. "And I hope one day you are too." And then I hung up, just like that. No drama, no screaming, no tears, just closure. Real, clean, grown-up closure. That night, I sat on my balcony with a glass of wine, watching the city lights blink like stars on Earth. Michael came over a little later, dropping takeout bags on the table like he always did. "You okay?" he asked, studying my face. "I'm better than okay," I said, smiling. He called. Michael raised an eyebrow. "Daniel?" "Yeah," he apologized. "Wow, did hell freeze over?" I laughed apparently. He sat beside me, shoulder brushing mine. "How do you feel?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "I feel done," I said finally, "like I've been carrying this weight for years." And I just put it down, not because he took it off me, because I decided I didn't need to carry it anymore. Michael reached over and took my hand. "You've come a long way." "Emily?" "Yeah," I said, squeezing his fingers. "And I'm not done yet." The truth is, Michael never tried to rescue me. He never swooped in to fix everything or play the hero. He stood beside me, steady and kind, while I rebuilt myself from the ground up. He watched me fall apart and didn't flinch. Watched me rise again and never once tried to take credit. That's what made it real. That's what made it love. Not fireworks, not fairy tales, just two people choosing each other, day after day, with eyes wide open. Years later, people sometimes ask me what changed, how I went from being the girl behind Daniel to the woman running her own firm, mentoring other women, showing up on magazine covers and conference stages. And the answer is always the same. I stopped waiting for someone to save me. I saved myself. I chose me. I built a life from scratch, not perfect, not easy, but mine. And along the way, I learned something I wish every woman knew. You don't need revenge to win. You just need to rise so high they can't even see you anymore. And when you get there, when you're finally standing on your own 2 feet, looking out over the world you built, that's the sweetest justice of all. That's all for today's story. Thank you for listening. This is my channel. The tales I share, drawn from life or woven from imagination, are meant to offer you connection, reflection, and perhaps solace or newfound strength. If you long to see your own reflection in others' journeys, or seek a glimmer of light within the maze of emotions, subscribe to my channel. Listen with your heart. Explore the stories of life.